Why did Israel allow aid trucks to enter Gaza for the first time in 11 weeks? Feeding Gaza is not a popular idea in Israel. 53% of Israelis oppose letting aid through. Some have gathered at the border to block aid trucks passing into Gaza, and Prime Minister Netanyahu's own cabinet nearly collapsed because of the decision. So why did they do it? The aid trucks that entered Gaza on Thursday are less than 20% of Gaza's needs for survival. Israeli leaders said it was a minimal, basic amount, allowed in for practical and diplomatic reasons, buying time to continue the war while they prepare to implement Trump's plan for aid distribution. As we've previously reported, the plan is for the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to fund the setup of 3 to 4 distribution centers in southern Gaza, forcing Palestinians to move to the south of the Strip, pass through Israeli military checkpoints, and possibly facial recognition tests to get into the centers, which will be manned and guarded by US mercenaries. The American Emergency Relief Organization, Team Rubicon, headed by US veteran Jake Woods, will then hand out that aid to families that pass all the security checks. Israel's government has agreed to this plan for several reasons. First, it moves aid distribution out of the control of the UN and other humanitarian groups and under the control of Israel's military and US mercenaries. It gives aid agencies an ultimatum: either help hand out aid under our control or not at all. Secondly, it forces Palestinians to move into Israeli-controlled aid centers in the south of Gaza, from where Israel's government has said it plans to ethnically cleanse them from Gaza to third countries. Thirdly, in return for allowing aid into Gaza, Israel's finance minister Bezalel Smotrich could get approval for 22 new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. And finally, the plan pushes back against growing international pressure on Israel to end its war and blockade on Gaza. Trump officials have pressured Israel to allow aid in, while the EU said it would review its trade and cooperation agreement with Israel. The UK, France, and Canada warned that if Israel did not end its assault, they would take concrete actions against it, while the UK announced that it was pausing trade talks, sanctioning settlers, and summoning its ambassador to Israel. Israeli leaders have admitted that while they may think it's justified to keep the blockade, they must maintain their international reputation. Aid groups have warned against allowing a trickle of aid into Gaza while its population is starving, because in desperate conditions where a bag of flour now costs $500 and the US itself has said its aid hubs could only feed up to 60% of the population, food is at risk of looting. Israel has also been targeting Gaza's public sector officials, civil defense members, police, local security, and those responsible for distributing aid, which makes it even harder to hand out aid safely and stop it being stolen. And this is where American mercenaries come in. Israel is allowing aid trucks in until US groups are ready to take over, which it says will be by the end of the month. These mercenaries were reportedly seen landing in Israel's Ben Gurion airport last week from the private security contractor Safe Reach Solutions, or SRS. Headed by former CIA paramilitary officer Phil Riley, they're the same group who secured Gaza's Netzarim corridor during the short truce from January to March. The group recently went on a hiring spree on LinkedIn, looking for liaison officers to serve as a bridge between the mercenaries and the local population. The plan seems like a win-win for Israel. Netanyahu has no plans to end the war. He's just ordered his team to leave ceasefire talks in Doha and appointed a new hardline Shin Bet chief. Israel's military has recently stepped up its bombardment of Gaza and issued new forced evacuation orders for its population. Under this new plan, Netanyahu can therefore claim to stop Gaza starving while forcing its population into a few camps in the south of the Strip under Israel's control, in the hope of occupying the entire Gaza Strip and forcing its population to flee elsewhere. A move that many critical voices argue was the government's plan from the beginning of the war.